And we have our S-team guest here with Krish, who's joining us from Dubai. And we're going to begin with a small video so you can get to know Krish a lot better. And as we play that video, it'll be great if you can tell us your name and the city and where you're joining in from.
So who is this Chief Disruption Officer? Simply put, while existing CXOs lead the business growth and operations of today, the Chief Disruption Officer prepares the business for tomorrow. Chief Disruption Officer is the one that identifies the disruptive trends that are going to alter the industry landscape and fundamentally change your own company, and to lead your organization to stay ahead of curve by disrupting from within.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in again. I can see the room is filling up very, very quickly. We've had a glimpse of our superstar guest today in Krish. And now let's just hear from him. What is Krish all about? Let's hear from him about his journey, what got him here. So Krish, all over to you.
Thank you, Mudit. Good evening. It's great to be with you, and my regards to everybody who's watching the program as well. If I have to describe about me professionally, I'll say I'm somebody who loves to build and lead teams, transform organizations, and create long-term value. Personally, I'm a social guy, striving very hard to become a responsible global citizen, obedient son, loving and caring husband, and a cool dad to my 2 sons. So let me get into details. I was born and raised in one of the most beautiful towns in South India called Ambasamutram. I belong to a large business family. I grew up believing that one day I'll become a civil servant, IPS, or a IAS officer. But then when I went to college, I discovered that my love is for computers, and technology probably would be my career path. So it became a hard C++ programmer, right? So totally 24 years of international experience, leading technology and transformation teams spanning across 5 continents, out of which 19 years are from BFSI sector. So started my career as an entrepreneur, successfully built and exited 2 product companies, felt like a millionaire, spent a lot of time roaming around Philadelphia, before finding the second opportunity, etc. So across my career, I've led large business transformations for Fortune 100 companies like Deutsche Bank, Citigroup, and Fidelity Investments. Been in the Middle East region for the last 16 years as CTO, CIO, CDO at large regional banks such as First Abu Dhabi Bank, Bank Muscat, Qatar Islamic Bank, and Al Hilal. Currently, the Group Chief Disruption Officer at GEMS Education, the world's largest private education conglomerate. And outside of work, I'm a nemophilist, which means a person who loves the forest and keep wandering in nature. So that's my favorite pastime. My favorite forest is Mundamdurai Tiger Reserve, which is very close to my hometown. That's a little bit about me, Mudit.
Great. I mean, that packs in a lot, right? From entrepreneurship, product companies to, working. And there are a lot of here. Tell us a little more, how did these career changes really take place? And, did you plan things? Did it happen by chance? Tell us the truth.
Well, I think it's a mix of things, right? One thing I had in mind is to, try and make it big in life. And being an entrepreneur came naturally because I wanted to ensure that I wanted to do something on my own. The second company that the product that I sold into was a big bank that they wanted me to be part of the deal that, I took over their global, business transformation team and literally migrated 235, payment gateways into one single platform called Common Services Platform. Then corporate life was very interesting and, thought like everybody else, Middle East stint is going to be for a couple of years. But I think this country, the opportunities, the people would something that I definitely have a lot of respect for. And that's how it is.
Great. This is an amazing story of an entrepreneur then finally becoming a corporate employee, right? and tell us, a lot of our listeners here are also people who are, within companies who contemplate to move out to the entrepreneurship world, right? So what should they really look out for?
I think, it's definitely a personal equation for each one of them, right? Becoming one to another is something personal choice. If you really are made up of it, and if you're made for it, you absolutely need to believe in yourself and jump in. There is no right or wrong answer. Being an entrepreneur or a corporate worker has its own advantages, disadvantages, and you need to be made for it. And until you try, you don't know what you can't do. People say, until you try, you don't know what you can do. But I believe, until you try, you don't know what you can't do. So it's a personal choice. I would absolutely appreciate everybody to have the courage to try it at least once to ensure that they understand if they can do it or not.
Absolutely. So I think the takeaway there is you must do it and experience it, right? Once, if you have the choice and the freedom to do that. So great. But tell me, you've done so many different roles, right? So you must have evolved. And what do you think is the best leadership style or something that suits you best?
I think When it comes to leadership style or managing people, Mudit, one size does not fit all, right? I believe in adopting my leadership style to the needs of the employee. Some people need a very directive approach. They need to be told what they need to do. Some just needs high level goals and the freedom to achieve them. So adaptive leadership approach can motivate people to ensure that they aren't stuck working in a ineffective work situation. What they need is what they need to be given. I think building a team with clear roles and responsibilities is critical. Everybody needs to know what their role in that particular team. In a playing 11, you need to know, are you a pinch hitter? Are you a batsman? Are you a bowler? Are you an all-rounder? So there cannot be any ambiguity when it comes to team. And creating an environment that empowers your team, delegating the right amount of authority is also an absolute must, right? And I think I always believe that measuring people by results, not actions, is something that is important. You need to push the team to come out of their comfort zone, to get the best of them, to best version of themselves, but always giving them the feeling that they absolutely know that you have their back. And it's important to provide real-time feedback rather than, surprises at the end of the performance appraisal meetings that happen once in 6 months or a year. And it's also about, celebrating success, even if it's a smaller one. It's about, going out there, enjoying as a team of what you have achieved as a team. And it's a continuous improvement, right? In life, you adopt, you learn new things. So, I can't say there is a secret of one little success for leadership. I think it's a continuous improvement process.
Okay, great. There are a lot of nuggets there, that I could take away, and I'm sure a lot of leaders would actually follow that, right? Otherwise, we have a lot of surprises at the end of the appraisal, and so thanks so much for being so hands-on and providing regular feedback. Yeah, so let's just move on, right? You've now worked for so many years, and you've seen, right? It's not academically the brightest people who always succeed. Right. So succeed and actually become C-suite leaders also. Right. So what do you think truly differentiates those who make it to that role and those who don't?
It's a beautiful question, right? Academic brilliance certainly has its merits. Let's give credit to where it belongs. You absolutely are to appreciate people who have academic brilliance. But C-suite leadership is not often solely determined by how good you were in academic achievements. I believe multiple factors come into it. It's strategic thinking, your real leadership abilities, your emotional intelligence, and the relentless drive for achieving results. These are all few things that needs to happen, whether you are academically great or not. And I think it's more towards your attitude, how you can chart your career than, anything else. So, I believe there are common traits. Maybe it might apply for most of us, right? It's about having a strong vision on what you want to do in that role, and, and then showing perseverance in going at it is an important thing. Being able to inspire and influence stakeholders, whether above or below. The ability to inspire stakeholders at all levels is absolute must. And I think, we also have to be a seeker. We believe, one should believe that, there is always this constant curiosity to seek knowledge and to gain knowledge. I think that is absolutely important. And willing to take risks, being bold, sometimes putting your foot down, and and to challenge the status quo is also a critical thing. And it's also about having self-awareness, empathy, interpersonal skills, being able to recognize value of building relationships within and outside the organization, collaborating for better success. We can't do it alone. So it's multiple factors. If we can have all of it, or at least most of it, that will ensure that we are very, very successful. Not that fancy degree, though I'm not discrediting academic success, but it's more important on those characteristics rather than just the academic.
Super. Thanks, Krish. A lot of takeaways. It'll take me a long time to summarize, but what I love best was because a lot of my coaches here, and we go through this program, the CXO 90-day challenge, and we cover things like, executive presence, influence, emotional intelligence, and focus. I mean, I keep sort of trying to build that in, right? That relentless ability to deliver. So I'm sure they'll feel now, if they're watching this, that they're in the right place. But tell me, right, from a C++ programmer, right? And I'm sure, I don't know how many of these people on the show today even remember that as a program, right? Because things have evolved so much, right? Right through your
well, we have this proud thing that we being a machine level coders, right? We almost have this audacity to think we are the machine level coders. We write into the machine rather than the software developers like the VB and the other programmers, etc. Yeah, those were the days.
Absolutely. But so that's great, right? So from being a coder and then getting in, can you take people through your journey and share what has actually helped you get where you are? Because a lot of them are on this journey.
No, 100%. So I think there are few things that I would suggest based on my experience, right? Wanting it badly is the first one, right? You absolutely need to want it. I wanted it badly. I almost would actually write the designation I want, even though it's probably 4 or 5 years away, as my signature. And I would probably send email to myself, right? Probably before I became the CIO for the first time ever, 4 years ago, I probably had written blank emails with just my signature. Many regards, Krish, Chief Information Officer. So wanting it badly is the first one. There cannot be a half-hearted attempt. Now, after that, having a plan. Like we do project plan for projects that are official projects. I don't know if we ever do project plan for personal career growth. I think it's about carefully thinking, where will I be? Where will my team be? My organization be in few years? How far I can grow? Do I have a dead end where I can't go further in my organization? What opportunities do I have? Can I move laterally? Is there any other similar lines of, let's say, companies that I can move into? So having a plan is absolutely a must, a real project plan into where I want to go. Then it's about believing that you can do it. There are both extremes here, right? There are people who forever contemplate that they can never step up because of worried about what issues can come up. Will I lose my job if I, spread my wings really, high? Why do I need to take a risk? And then there are other people who are overconfident about themselves and think they're ready when they're not ready at all. But what is important is to believe that you can do it. And believing is important, but what is more important is acting as one. So you don't have to be officially given a title as CXO to act like one. Maybe if you act like one without the title, that will give a great impression to the management that you are ready to the next role as well. I had some greatest bosses in every single company that I worked in. Once my mentor boss told me, listen, always dress for the next role. Now, what he really meant was not, wearing a 3-piece suit, but, what he meant was act as if you are in your next role before even you get it, right? So, that's a very, very important thing. Now, power of asking. A lot of us miss this, right? We don't ask, we assume. I think asking shamelessly, asking continuously, asking when you absolutely can ask for great opportunities, is absolutely a critical thing. That's not to mean going and telling your boss, hey, boss, I want your seat. But
subtly saying you're ready to take additional roles, you want to, take your career to the next level, etc. And grabbing good opportunities. I don't think anybody will come give the opportunities in a great platter and say, hey, please come and take it. I think it will come, in a blue moon, grabbing those good opportunities, taking calculated risks. Maybe it's a different role. Maybe you're not that comfortable in taking that particular role. Let me tell you, I was a performance engineer. I was, all along application developer. I wasn't very comfortable with the Vintra when I was asked to take up a deputy CIO role, much before I, made as a CIO. If I thought twice in terms of what if, that's an area that I don't know, what if I fail kind of a thing, I think it's about taking calculated risks. Now, the last point, pushing your boss up. Now, what I mean is pushing your boss up to the next level or role so that you can take his position as well, right? Remember this, it is so critical to make your boss look good always. It's important to ensure that, we work hard, we get that collective success to ensure that as a department, as a team, as a overall organization, we look good, we make our managers look good as well, because you want to behave with your manager the same way you want your team members to behave with you as well. So these are all few things that I felt in my world. I've learned it in a hard way. I've learned it, as I went along. But I hope that could help the budding mid-level managers to take some clue as to what and how they can shape that career up.
Oh, amazing tips there, Krish, and what I really like is where you talked about actually believing that you can get there, right? So unfortunately, a lot of people stop there, which is the believing part, and some don't get there because, it stops them in their own mind. So really reprogramming the mind to see a destination, right? And then actually doing the work. And like you said, very critically, actually putting together a plan. We do all the planning for our organizations, but we don't do it for ourselves.
Yeah.
And going out, making your boss look good, great takeaways. I'm sure there are a lot of notes being taken here and fantastic. But, as you're going up, right, there's also conflict in organizations because resources are limited, right? So there will be, that's the nature of the beast, right? How would you say that, is the best way to deal with conflict in an organization?
Yeah. Okay. So the first thing is to realize that not all conflicts are the same, right? Some conflicts are ideological, some are personality, some are inherent process or method related ones. And some conflicts are so fundamental that it can't be resolved. It is wise to understand which conflicts are which types, and then and then devise a strategy to adopt it. So I would say addressing conflicts proactively and being open and transparent could minimize a lot of negative impact. And most of these conflicts come from people not understanding it, people having their own perceptions about it and things like that, right? Managing people is an art, but let me tell you, dealing with conflicts is even more, a bigger art than that, right? So I think it's about taking it mindfully, and being proactive and addressing the conflicts as soon as they come in can probably help. I think, sometimes words or emails or fiery meetings may not tell the actual picture, but understanding the root cause of why this conflict has come, what's the background of it, definitely helps. Once you understand it, then it is to have that transparency, that open arms communication with whoever has created one or whoever is the most impacted one, giving that environment where people can express their views actively. Now, I've seen a big conflicts between departments, in the transformation programs, you are wrong, I am wrong, kind of a thing. Sometimes, kind of is easily solved by having one large open dialogue with everybody involved, kind of thing, right? So, and I think starting with common areas of agreement that, there are fundamental principles that anybody will agree. Maybe to concentrate on looking at, shared interest, looking at things that you absolutely bare minimal agree, could be a great way to start. And then going on, okay, we agree as a base principle, both of us are in the same page like this. The conflict comes or the disagreement comes in this area, that area. Okay, let's move on to see how we can solve it and all, right? I would say, every conflict is a learning opportunity. It could severely give you lessons on whether there is a process improvement, there is a relationship that needs to be pitched, there are policies or communication issues, or there are some course corrections that you need to do. I probably would want to conclude there isn't an environment where there are no conflicts. So if you are looking for moving into a role, moving into a department, moving into a job where there are no conflicts, that doesn't exist. So it's better to practice, better to become aware of it, and then work on those strategies to resolve them would be a great thing.
Great takeaways there, Krish. I mean, I took firstly understand the type of conflict it is, right? Not because not all conflicts are the same. And the other is a certain openness and transparency to understand what is the real problem, right? I think that's another takeaway I took. And the third is to have that open dialogue.
Yeah.
And of course, be mindful of what needs to be truly fixed. If there are other issues, because sometimes official conflicts become personal conflicts unnecessarily.
Yeah.
So, a lot of good takeaways there, right? And let's just move on to the next question that, as we're all, right? So it's a pyramid, right? And a lot of middle management people need to move up. Right? And how would you suggest, managing upwards in an organization? How important is it? And how do you do it, to actually make sure the things get done? What are your views on that?
So I think it's it's very personal to everybody. There is no one secret sauce that can apply. If it were to be, people would all become very, very successful in managing upwards, right? I think fundamental thing is managing upward doesn't mean that you should be an S-man. It's about establishing a mutual respect and trust, and to manage expectation. I think that's the fundamental thing that we need to say. If you can manage upwards well, what you are doing is you are influencing and impacting a huge decision-making process, right? Building a positive rapport with your superiors, people above you and above them, allows you to effectively communicate, influence your ideas, your suggestions, your concerns, etc. So that helps in your career. Being known for your ability to communicate or your success stories then gets amplified. That kind of impacts your career advancement opportunities as well. So it is about ensuring that you make superiors have the trust in your abilities, and being explaining to them the value that you are contributing into the company, and the importance that you associate the success, or the importance that associate on the company, the efforts that you are putting in. All that helps. So I think it's a process that involves a lot of constructive conversations. It also is about being open to listening, open to feedback. It's about understanding your superiors' goals, priorities, expectations. Because end of the day, nobody can become a superstar unless they truly understand what their seniors' priorities are and expectations are. So I think if you can have that alignment, that you can start building, takes months, if not years. But once you have that alignment, that will then allow you to tailor your work to their company's vision, to their objectives. And also you can anticipate what their needs are. If there would be some concerns, how do we proactively address it to ensure that your work aligns to the overall strategic direction. Sometimes we feel that we've overworked, we've done a lot of great work. And then, when it comes to a critical conversation at the board level or to, your own performance appraisal, we're shocked to understand that the efforts that we have put in has not resulted in a strategic, return on investment, or it's not a material benefit to the organization. And that's disheartening. So ensuring that you have a clear trust, clear relationship with people upwards, and being closer to their vision, their objectives, managing their expectation, having that constant communication, having that relationship that can be mutually beneficial is absolutely a critical thing to do. Do I have a secret sauce? Do anybody have a secret sauce? No. But it's about, all the above things that we said, right? It's about going out there, being that trustworthy, a strategic relationship person that you are.
Amazing. I think there's lots of takeaways. What I'm going to take away is, one, understand the needs of the organization, right? What are your seniors really looking for, right? Managing those expectations, building that communication where you can, openly express and understand and share, and influencing. And I think that's a great way to influence upwards. Fantastic tips there for a lot of people, right? And let's just say, your expertise has really been digital transformation, at least as of now, right? With your disrupting so many organizations, right? What advice would you give young leaders, in terms of what should they be doing? How do they go about this? And how do they make their presence felt?
I think digital transformation is a need of the hour. A lot of organizations are going through, while the existing CXOs are tasked with doing a BAU. One of the other career paths that people can choose is to become an expert in digital transformation. That could be something that they can immediately then move into a CXO aspiration. So, it's important to understand certain nuances of how digital transformation works, etc. To probably simplify it, there are 4 types of digital transformation in the world. Broadly, every digital transformation can be boxed into this 4 types of transformation, right? One is process transformation. Whoever you are, whichever industry you are from, and how long you've been in the business, optimizing, streamlining internal processes is the need of the hour. Perfecting, how you can do end-to-end, products, from starting to think about it to delivering it to the customer. How do you ensure you optimize the processes? It is absolutely a key transformation. The number one, the first one. For an example, right? When Pizza had changed their ordering process that allowed customers to order pizza from any device. We know what happened, right? They propelled to the sales to newer heights that anybody could have imagined. So first is process transformation. Then there is business model transformation. Every company have to start thinking about what's their core product and what's their business model in delivering that core product, and is there any other way that they can think of, whether it is alternative delivery streams or alternate revenue models that they can think of, pricing. So business model transformation is absolutely critical to become innovative, to become alive, and to stay alive in the competition, right? So for an example, Netflix was a video store. I don't know how many of us are aware. They were selling VCDs. Now, their business model transformation was to think, okay, how long can we survive and how many people can we reach by just, selling a brick and mortar VCD store? Can we not put them into a streaming service in web, and rest is history? So the second type of model is business model. The third one is the interesting of all, domain transformation. Now, you had your products and you have perfected your delivery channels, etc. But then you have to constantly keep looking at, am I, staying in the same domain? Is there an adjacent domains that I can go? Is there anything else that I can think of in terms of adding value to my customers or adding additional revenue streams, etc.? Let me give you an example of Amazon, right? Amazon was a very, very good e-commerce company. They had their spare capacity that they built for the e-commerce side. They thought, why don't we, provide this as a service? Why don't we rent out the spare capacity, the cloud capacity that we have built, to other companies to help them? And Amazon Web Services were born, and today that accounts for more than 65 to 70% of their, EBITDA. That kind of proves to you that these kind of domain transformations are absolutely a critical thing to, transform to. Amazon Prime, again, another streaming service that they, came out of, which is also very, very successful. Now, the last transformation is organizational transformation. Regardless of what kind of organization you have, it is important to ensure that your structure and target operating model is evolving to meet the new reality in this digital world. So now that I've explained these 4 digital transformations, if at all you have an opportunity, or if you can grasp an opportunity to lead, the first thing is to understand the context, right? It's understand what is your organization's North Stars. You can't copy the next bank or the next company's strategy and then say, hey, let's go and digitally transform. What is your context? What is your North Star? Where do you want to go? And then working out a unique strategy, unique, structure that fits your organizational culture, that fits your change appetite, that fits your budget constraints, that fits your existing people, tech maturity, then kind of getting into a plan, being agile and working out a plan, and ensuring that then you sell this to your stakeholders and bring them all together to come up with what is your roadmap, etc. Right? And it is not a big bang. There is no boiling the ocean approach. It needs to be a short-term win after short-term win, and then building the blocks for success, etc. A continuous improvement and incremental wins are absolutely must. Last but not the least, I don't think you can do it alone. Any transformation journeys require the stakeholders, vendor partners, external people who have been there, done that, etc. And change management is absolutely key. I've read a Deloitte report which says it's technology is just 25% of the whole, in a transformation journey. It's 75% about stakeholders. It's about managing communication. It's managing expectations. It's managing scope, etc. So, that's another thing we need to be very, very particular when it comes to leading digital transformation.
Amazing. I think that's, we could have a whole lecture on just digital transformation, right? But I'm going to take the 4 things that you talked about, right? Process transformation, business transformation, domain transformation, and organizational transformation. Great. So I think that's a great way. And you've been part of so many transformations, right? So tell us, really, when things go well, everyone's very happy, right?
Yeah.
But then a majority of transformations don't always see the light of day. So what do you think are the real challenges? Why don't these transformations really, set out to achieve what they originally wanted to?
If you ask me, I had failure a lot. But let me give you one example, which kind of could be the best example of how things can fail, right? I was in one of the largest banks way many years ago. One of the senior members of EXCO was fascinated about this robotic process automation, that he has heard, a neighboring bank has achieved. They put it in papers that we've achieved this, that, etc. So he became very, very enthusiastic, and he absolutely was adamant that we need to implement in our program. He went ahead, arranged for multiple RPA vendors, called in the costliest vendors that are available, etc. Before you know it, we initiated this RPA project with a lot of fanfare. We had an amazing kickoff where vendors were invited. They started talking about success stories to the steering committee, the leadership team. They showcased the return on investment on how RPA could significantly optimize the cost by, rationalizing your spend, reducing people, blah, blah, blah. And the project got kicked off, and we expected every department to allocate dedicated resources to prioritize your short-term, mid-term, long-term, low-hanging fruits. That's a famous word I absolutely hate, right? Not everything that's hanging low from a tree need be a fruit. That could be absolutely a poison thing that's probably, hanging low, waiting for you to, take it and, get upset with this. So I think the approach did not sit well with the business users at all. They perceived this project as a means to reduce cost and reduce staff. That became very talk of the entire bank. People got quite anxious. And, we forced people to assign dedicated resources. People wrong people or not so optimal people were assigned to as dedicated resources. And not all those low-hanging fruits were easy wins. Some were problematic. Some were even, not even worth going live with. I think we also had boil the ocean approach, right? Attempting every single, department, every single initiative, and then trying and seeing if we can successfully turn this into a robotic process automation, best example of the bank, etc. Now, what we ended up doing within the first 6 months, where we started automating processes that were inherently weak, which means that we were actually automating bad processes. So we ended up having faster bad processes, right? And we started discussing about people were not supportive. What was the ROI, business benefits? Let me tell you, the project did not go anywhere. We had system issues as well. We had process issues as well. Every single, you name an issue, we had that issue to deal with. That was one of the best failures that I've seen. Now, how did we recover from it? Now, first thing is about very clearly understanding what the lessons were. We started taking our step. We ensured that we select a software that is closer to what we want to do, rather than the most costliest one, the most famous one kind of thing. And we ended up discussing with business users, understanding what kind of technology, what kind of existing systems that we have that we might have to choose the product. We started with a business process engineering exercise to start with. We started looking at process by process. That is an end-to-end thing rather than going department by department. We understood the pain areas that we needed to solve. What are the topmost issues that business wants to solve, and to then go and showcase proof of concepts rather than talking big talks. How do we practically go and show them that this is how a process can be automated? And quickly, one success story, the awareness grew. The second success story, then people started coming in. Every department started coming in to say, "Hey, we hear that process that took 5 days is now finishing it in 2 minutes. Can we see it?" Right? Then we started working with them. We started in an agile fashion, automating something. So what we have achieved in the next 6 months is something a sort of magic, right? So even today, I'm proud to say, after so long, I have left the bank. There's very, very strong advocates of RPA. They have consistently achieved about 90% of straight-through processing. Today, as we speak, I believe around 65 to 70 bots are running 24/7. They've also brought in other automation, automated workflows like Microsoft Power Automate, a lot more AI-driven automation right now, etc. So I think the point that I'm trying to make is having a good start is important, but it's even more important to understand that you need to know what you are wanting to achieve in this RPA. Are you reducing turnaround times? Are you increasing controls? Are you increasing efficiencies? Are you reducing your product overheads, etc.? And being realistic of what you can, and what you can't automate, right? Not all processes are good candidates for automation. And RPA is not your silver bullet. You can't solve all your problems through RPA. I think this is a great example of what all could go wrong. I'm happy that we learned our lessons and could bring the initiative back on track. My policy would be having so many scars in my back, having failed multiple times in my career. Anything that doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Failures are part of life. Each failure teaches us what not to do, how not to do it. It's about taking it chin on, accepting mistakes, openly, owning it up and ensuring that we collectively go and do what's right, rather than trying excuses, trying blame games, and trying to avoid the obvious elephant on the room. That's probably what will harm you rather than actual failure itself.
Thanks so much, Krish. I think firstly, thank you so much for being honest and accepting that, right? That there were issues and things that failed. And so much, and thanks so much for also clarifying, that before you embark on a digital transformation, right, be very clear as to what you want to achieve. And I still remember the line that you've said that, you automate something, and if the processes itself are weak, then you're getting something done even, you're making weak processes, happen even faster, and the results are going to be disastrous. So I think there's some great takeaways there, in terms of what people need to be mindful of in terms of that. Just moving on, right? What has really been your inspiration in your career, right? Any quote, anything that you live by that has helped you, go on?
I don't have one or two idols that I look for inspiration. I don't have like a godfather kind of a person that I get all my inspirations. I'm of the opinion that you need to be ready to learn from every situation, every person. I have not one but hundreds of people who inspire me, right? My dad and mom, my wife and kids, my teachers, my bosses, my friends, my team members, my favorite tech CEOs, my sports stars, my political readers. The list goes on and on. I'll give you an example. A couple of weeks ago, we were in a meeting, and it was a tough one. It was a critical meeting, and I was watching this junior member of my team. It was really amazing. The clarity of thought, the way he communicated, the calm, the composure that he had, ability to stay on course when there were attempts to deviate from the subject. I was so inspired. I brought him into my office and I asked him, how did he get this maturity at that young age? My answer is, I get my inspiration from hundreds of people on a daily basis. You asked me my favorite quote. That's by Steve Jobs: "Stay hungry, stay foolish." I think it drives all of us, including me, to stay eager, to be ready to learn, and to try new things without that complacency, right? So stay hungry, stay foolish. That's my favorite quote. Yeah.
Amazing. I think the big takeaway there is always be ready to learn, right? From wherever. Take every piece of learning, whether it's from above, beside, and from all areas of life, and then see. That's a great learning ability and a very hungry attitude to learn, which today. So thanks so much for that. And of course, you've been there now. You've been right there at the top now as a CXO and everything. What advice would you just like to share in general with people along the journey, because it can be tough?
I know. Mudit, there is another quote that I absolutely love, right? Hear the music before the song is over, right? One of my favorite authors, Chetan Bhagat, wonderfully puts it. Life is not a race, right? So my sincere, request, is not to have that career or academic goals alone in our lives. Let's set goals to have balanced life, right? Meaning, having health goals, relationship goals, mental peace. They all have to be totally aligned. Just not a goal of becoming a CXO, right? CXO title is a milestone. I agree, but you won't cherish it if you didn't enjoy the journey along the way. There is no point in getting a CXO promotion, on the day of your breakup, right? There's no fun in driving a car if your back hurts, and if you have health issues, etc. And your shopping is not enjoyable if your mind is full of tension, full of worry as to the office politics and things like that. So I think life is one of those races in when you were young in nursery school, where you have to run with a marble in the spoon that is kept in your mouth. If the marble falls, if that lemon falls, there is no point in coming first. You can go as fast as you can. I think same is with life. When the health, the relationships, your personal life is that marble, the career success is only worth if there is a harmony in your life. So that's something that I absolutely want to stress it on. And I think life is beautiful. I don't think there is no need to get stressed out. It's okay to fail on few tasks, screw things up once or twice in projects, go up on few job interviews, have that little fights with your loved ones, over your work-life balance. I left today at 1:30 in the night. It's okay. That's natural. That's part of life. I think what is important is to learn from our mistakes and try and avoid next time, rather than being worried about what went wrong and things like that. So I would suggest, take it easy, take that long-awaited leave from work that you were always afraid of taking. What if something happens, etc. Take up that hobby that is your stress buster. I'm a gardener when I'm not working, right? That's my biggest stress relief. I can spend in my garden hours and hours, just forgetting this world. Enjoy with your friends, fall in love, put more emphasis on inner peace than material success. Again, as I say, hear the music before the song is over. Getting into a CXO is a success, but that's not the only thing that is in life. And for whatever reasons, if you can't make it, that's not the end of the world. And it's a milestone, but not everything. So that's what I would probably want to conclude, Mudit.
Amazing. So enjoy the process of transformation, do your best, but there are other things in life also that matter, right?
Absolutely.
So very well said. And as we're getting to the top of the hour, I'm just going to encourage the audience now. If there are any questions you have, just put it onto the chat box so I can pick it up from there and take it. And I'm going to ask, continue till the questions come in. I'm going to continue to ask, Gopi and Krish to really tell us more. So let's say, you've given us a very holistic view of life, right? Tell people what are the challenges of being a CXO also, right?
So I think each role comes with its own responsibility and ownership. CXO is, might outside view looks fancy, but it has its own challenges, right? You are the leader of the pack. You own everything rolls into you. There is no place where you can say, yeah, but that's not, what I am responsible for. And, you are the leader of the pack. You need to be the inspiration for the team. You need to carry the team along, etc. So, I do have, I make it easy by having the golden rules when I work in the corporate world, right? This is something that every team member is aware of. I think those 5 golden rules are: one team, one goal. We all act as one team and we all have one single goal to, achieve. We strive to do better. We want to be better, faster, cheaper, etc. And always remember that your team is as strong as your weakest link. That's something that I always keep saying, and keep things simple. Part of becoming or being a CXO is to ensure that we have to keep things simple, and it's extremely hard to keep things simple. I'm sure, Mudit, you realize and you understand what I'm trying to say. And finally, it's also about having fun. CXO doesn't mean that you suddenly become all serious and you absolutely have to be always, very serious about it. I think we also have to work hard and play even harder. So that's how I would say how the role should be managed.
Great, Gopi. So there are a couple of questions now. If you can, be kind enough to share your perspective. So the first one is from Dhrubajyoti, and he says, what's more important, employees or customers? Because very often in serving customer needs, I guess what he's probably referring to is that you bend so much that you break your back. So
Yeah.
what are your views of this?
I think it's a simple answer: employees, because you're not serving the customers alone. You are serving it with your colleagues. If your employees are not happy, I don't think they can serve the customers well. So first, employees. Treat your employees well, they will treat the customers, even better.
Great. So the next one is from Sangeeta, and she says that is it important to get successful first and then look after the other aspects of life, like relationship, family, all of that? Because, in the Indian scheme of things, perhaps, or whatever the way the world is, that money does give you some respect by default. So what is your take on that?
Sangeeta, you asked a very important question that, a lot of people have in mind. And I had this question, right? And I think, unfortunately, some societies, label success as how fat your check is and what kind of fancy title you have, and how great costly car that you have, and the the number of bedrooms that you have in your own house, etc. But I believe all of us would agree that material success is one thing. Having truly happy life is another, right? Money do empower us to do a lot of stuff, but true happiness and being content and being happy, being respected, being feeling accomplished for what you have done, and being liked by your peers, your bosses, your customers. Those are not associated with money or material things. So I believe we should go after the ones that are absolutely must, and that will bring us success rather than those other successes that we talked about.
Great. So here's a question from Guru, and he says, especially with the fast changing world, right? There's so much happening in technology. How does one actually keep abreast of things and, get that confidence to take the right decisions that that, I'm doing the right thing?
I think it's the most important thing for us to stop being dinosaurs, right? We probably would have learned a lot of stuff when we were young, or until a few years ago, and then manager, senior manager, AVP, VP, SVP, EVP, CXOs. You do not have time to keep clear, really closer to the business. I think that's the start of an end. It is about reading. It is about subscribing to a lot of journals. It is about having RSS feeds. It's about having subscribed to the publications of the Harvard, the MIT, the Navitas, a lot of such research companies. It is about attending events. It is about watching the best YouTube channels that are for the latest technologies, etc. It is about talking to your colleagues. I think even if you left it for a week in AI, things have moved so fast that you probably felt you're still in a dinosaur world, right? And there's so much stuff happening in technology, exponential technology, in AI, in world of DNA, genome mapping, genome editing, etc. Quantum computing. I think it is absolutely essential for you to keep up to date. It's not for anything but for our survival. Young kids are coming. People who are passing out 18, 19, 20, they seem far more intelligent, far more clued on, far more technologically savvy when they join their first jobs. Unlike when we were young, our first jobs were totally different than this, right? So you are going to compete with half of the people who are half of your ages, who are going to be much more smarter, much more direct, much more younger than that. So it's going to be a lot of competition, and keeping up to date is probably the only choice we have.
Great. We're at the top of the hour, Krish. So I just want to know whether you can take one more question, or
Let's go one more question. Yeah.
Great. So there's one from Dipankar here, which says that if there are two people who are very similar in terms of capability, right, and there is only one person who's going to make it to that next level of becoming a CXO. So what do you think is going to differentiate the two people?
The one who acted as a CXO, even if he wasn't given a CXO, is going to get the role, right? As we said, you always dress up for the next role. And I explain what I think, one should do to get that role. So it's about expressing your willingness. It's about acting that role. It's about having good relationships. It's about having that positive attitude that your peers would want to work with you, your teams would want to work with you, managers would want to, manage you. I think simple question is, the one who has a better attitude and relationship, is going to take the cream.
Amazing. So I'm just going to, just before we sort of wrap up, I'm going to request the audience, please show your love in terms of emojis or whatever you want to share. I can see a lot of great comments here, but, a lot of the speakers also get their energy from the love that we get from, the people who are listening in. So thank you so much. And we've been so lucky to have you, Krish, here. It's not often one gets to hear from, chief disruptors, on an everyday basis, especially you who've, had entrepreneurial experience, corporate experience. It's such a pleasure to have you. And I'm just so lucky to have you in our lives. Yeah.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you so much. I think you've been a great audience. I haven't read all your comments. I'll probably do it once I finish this. But thank you so much for patiently listening and for some wonderful comments here. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And
thank you,
everybody. Thank you for joining from wherever you have, right? Good night and bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
thank you.
Cheers.